start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanora Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Deva Deva. Hari Om. So we are continuing the analysis of Maya, and Maya has Trigunatmikam, that means three gunas are there as a Prakriti. Maya is same as Prakriti from the total point as well as from the individual point, and the Prakriti manifests in terms of three gunas predominantly, the Tamoguna, Rajoguna and Sattva-guna. And the Tamoguna is the one that causes the Avarana Shakti, and Rajoguna Vikshepa Shakti, projecting power. Avarana means covering my true nature, and therefore means I become ignorant of my true nature. Covering means it is avidya, that means I am ignorant. Ignorance is always covers the knowledge. So according to philosophy, knowledge is always there, but ignorance covers it. We need a pramana to remove that cover. So pramana, the purpose of pramana is to remove the cover so we can discover. It's called discovering processes through a pramana. And that involves effort in terms of that I had to study or do something. So therefore that avarana shakti comes from the tamas, and that's essentially the ignorance, mula vidya, fundamental ignorance. That means I do not know myself. If I do not know myself, all my transactions will be obviously wrong, because the fundamental error of I am dealing with the whole world. I am this, I am that, all that confusion coming because this is an object, I am a subject. The identification of subject with an object is the fundamental confusion arising because of not knowing it. And the Vikshepa is projecting power. Not only I do not know, but I make a different assumption, and just as I do not see the robe, but I don't keep quiet with that, I project a snake out there. Therefore, I see something, therefore the mind projects something other than what it is. Atasmin tad buddhihi. Something other than what it is the projection. What it is, how I project, depending upon the attributes that I have so far gathered based on what I see. So when I am looking at the world, what I am seeing? I see existence of the object. So existence is there. Every object exists. Therefore I can see. I cannot see non-existent object. You cannot see Gaga Boo because I don't know what Gaga Boo is and you don't know what it is. So even if you see some object, you don't know whether it's Gaga Boo or not. So therefore I cannot see unless I know it exists. So existence of an object is established by the knowledge of existence. So existence itself I don't see. I am only seeing only the attributes of the object, but attributes are not the substantive, just as attributes of the ring and the bangle are not substantive gold nature, and I only carried away with the attributes and transact with the world. Therefore I am seeing, at the same time I am not seeing. What I am seeing is only the attributes. Based on that I am making a conclusion, because I do not have the fundamental knowledge of what the object is. It is Brahman only appearing in the form. That knowledge I have to gain through Vedanta Shravanam. So therefore this is covering, and in the covering I have partial knowledge, because if I were completely covered then I have no problem, I don't see anything, as in the deep sleep state. Only Vikshepa comes with picture. I need a mind to project polarity. Without the mind, I cannot project the polarity. So Kama, Krodha, Lova, Moha, Madam, Acharyas, all those 6 enemies that we call are coming from with the mind. In the deep sleep state, there is no kama, krodha, lobha, moha. All is only pure ignorance. All I can say is, I slept very well. So what did you do there? I don't know. So I don't know means I have no concept of seer-seen duality is not there. That's what I mean. I am knowing something, means I am a subject and this is to be known. So I don't know anything. So thing is not there and I am a seer cannot be there. So in the process, both are transcended and therefore it is folded. Because the mind itself, where the subject-object duality is raising, that itself is folded in the deep sleep state. Therefore, all other attributes of the mind, that kama, krodha, everything is also folded. Nobody is angry in the deep sleep state. Nobody is the desires or lobha, greediness. All those things are not there in the deep sleep state because they come with the mind and they get folded in the mind. They are only in the potential form in the mind because the mind is not evolved. So deep sleep state is not a realization. People talk about one has to be. It is similar to the realization. It's only similar in the sense that it is absence of suffering is there, because absence of duality is manifesting as absence of suffering, but deep sleep state is not anandam. It's only reflected anandam, because anything is only reflected only. Pure consciousness, which is infinite, cannot be experienced. So if I am experiencing a bliss in the deep sleep state, that bliss is only reflected happiness, and that means only through the upadhi, that means reflection by the absence of the duality. So it only absence of suffering is what we call it a bliss in the deep sleep state. It's not the understanding of I am the absolute happiness. That's my happiness is my own true nature. So happiness of the absolute is not what is in the deep sleep state. It's only reflected happiness. And in the Taittiriya Upanishad, it classifies which is moda, pramoda and all that. The degree of classification is also there. And there is a degree of classification of ananda is also there in the Taittiriya Upanishad, where Manushyananda is one unit. One unit of Manushyananda is when a person possesses the whole universe as a possessor. That means he has everything and he has a young age enough to digest any food, and that happiness that one gain is called one unit, and the other people have 100 times more and the next one is 100 times more. Like that, if you go on in the ladder, the highest one is Prajapati, is 10 to the power of 26 times that of a human being's happiness. But in each level, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, it says same happiness one can gain by sattva guna. How? It says essentially by having no attachments to any of these. Says at each level, srotriyasya akamayatasya. So same happiness can be known by having a knowledge of that all these things has no use. This is only will not give me happiness. Therefore, no more desire for those. So that's why Krama, Krodha came as a part of Rajoguna. But if that is not there, Sotriyasya Akamayatasya, same happiness at that level. If you have the dispassion for all the objects at that level, then you get the same happiness also. So you don't need to have it even by renunciation of those. What is that you renounce? Renounce is your attachments only, because that is the one you really own it. That's why Kama, Krodha, Lobha are being emphasized as a requirement to eliminate it for gaining the Sattva Guna, and Sattva Guna becomes the most important. And this Sattva Guna comes from, this is essentially Dhanam and Yajnasya Tapaha. So these are three emphasizes. It says Dhanam, Tapaha, Yajnaha. So this is Krishna also emphasizes in many ways, that is, these are the methods of purification. That means giving up means giving up the notion of ownership itself. Even this body, I don't own it. So therefore, that essentially, that attachment to anything is ready to give up. and that is essentially dhanam. And yajna, we talk about the pancha maha yajnas, and tapaha, austerities, that means controlling the mind so that it doesn't get involved. So all the austerities in our ancient, our traditional people used to do is meant for purification of the mind. That's not an end goal, but that's a means so that the mind can be purified, and that purified mind has to be invested into the study of Vedanta. So ultimately what is to be required? This is only purification. These are the preliminary steps required, and don't get involved in the preliminary steps itself as the end. This is only for going to the next level, and the mind is prepared. It has to go. How do I know the mind is prepared? Because when you attend satsangatvam, then nissanga, detachments come completely, because I am attaching myself to the higher values, and therefore when I attend the Vedantic teaching or approach a teacher for the study, then the mind becomes ready to listen, and the scripture also comes to help. Therefore the teaching becomes more effective for that mind which is prepared, that means which has sattva guna. So in the sloka 121 of the Viveka Chudamani, which we chant here, Vishuddha Sattvasya Gunaha Prasadaha Swatmanubhutihi Parama Prashantihi Trupti Praharshaha Paramatmanishta Eya Sadananda Rasam Samuchati. So here, what is the nature of this Sattva Guna is emphasized. In the 18th chapter of Gita, Krishna emphasizes these, the Tamo Guna, Rajo Guna and Sattva Guna from the point of all transactions, how giving up at the Tamo Guna wise, giving up at the Rajasic Guna, and giving up even Dhanam also at the Sattvic Guna, how the attitude is different, is also being emphasized by the Lord in the 18th chapter. Here, Vishuddham, Vishuddha Sattvam, it is uncontaminated by Rajoguna and Tamoguna. That is the pure Sattvam. And in the pure Sattvam, even if there is some Rajasic Guna and Tamasic Guna, it cannot have much effect, because Sattva Guna is a dominant one, and that becomes controlling. So Visuddha Sattvasya Gunaha Prasadaha. So Visuddha Sattvam, uncontaminated by the Rajoguna or Tamoguna, that is that Prasadaha, essentially the absence of any impurities in the mind, and that is Visuddha Sattvam. And Swatma Anubhutihi. So one becomes so self-contented in the Sattvic Guna, and it is nature comes out, the happiness comes out, expression comes out, the beauty and the glory or brightness of the eyes itself, you can see that is how the shining is, because Sattva involves a knowledge, and a knowledgeable person, you can see the brightness of the face also. That reflects in that. And that is Svatva Anubhutihi, experiencing oneself. That means recognition that I am by myself. I do not depend on anything other than myself for my happiness. So contentment comes into picture, whether I have it, objects or not, I am happy by myself. And Parama Prashantihi. So peace comes because there is no agitations. Agitations comes because of the vasanas. Vasanas contributes to the desires, and desires contribute to the agitations at the mental level. When there are no vasanas, when there are no desires, because I am full contented by myself, that is a product of the Sattva Guna, and therefore there is a trupti, contentment of the mind, happy with whatever one is, and there is no more longing for it. I need this for me happiness, I need that. Whatever comes is accepted as a prasada buddhi. And praharshaha is effortlessly happy. Happiness comes without any effort, because he is blooming happiness out of it. And Paramatmanishta, the abiding my mind in the highest reality. So I see the presence of the Lord everywhere, not only in me, in everything. So all negative tendencies automatically, no jealousy, no other, because it's with the Lord only. What can I be jealous with? So therefore, Prashantam, Paramatma Nishta, abiding in the nature of the Lord. Yomam pasyati sarvatra, sarvancha mai pasyati, tasyaham na pranasyami, sasame na pranasyati. Krishna says in the 6th chapter, one who sees me everywhere and everything in me, he is always with me and he is never away with me. So that is Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam, Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani. One who sees himself everywhere and everything in himself, so he cannot have anything because he cannot be jealous about himself. Therefore, he is Prashanti, Trupti, Praharsha and Paramatma Nishtha. That Supreme Atma, that it is the highest reality, is Nishtha, is abiding, and Ya Sadananda Rasam is Rasam of Ananda Rasam, always reveling in that, and that is essentially expression of the Sattva Guna. Hence, Krishna defined in fact Chaturvanyam Maya Sushta Guna Karma Vibhaga on the basis of Guna and Karma. Once I have Sattvic Guna, my actions will only be not for my sake but the sake of Loka Kalyanam, for the benefit of others, whatever do. Even when I do puja, it's for the base of the Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. My attitude in the mind is for the benefit of everything. So compassion comes automatically. All other positive qualities are expressed itself when the Sattva Guna comes, and it is based on the Guna. That's what the classification of human classification, and this is universal classification. And therefore, the one who is predominantly Sattva Guna wants to learn and wants to be in that line, whereas the one who wants Rajo Guna with Sattva Guna wants to act, but act for the benefit of others, whereas the one who is Rajo Guna with the Tamo Guna wants to act, but act for selfish sake. And the one who does only a selfish, will all other things are less and less, he is only considered as a laborer. He may be a PhD in many, but he is working for himself, for his own selfish reason, then it is Tamo Pradhanam only. This essentially is part of the Maya, and the part of the Maya is taken up as a part of the Avyaktam, unmanifested, expressing in different way. And in this, the 122nd sloka, the Acharya in the Vivekachudamani, he summarizes the whole Anatma. So the whole discussion is coming because it says, Kosavanatma, what is Anatma? So that point is being discussed, and what is the point? The essential conclusion is Dehendriya Prana Mano Ahamadayaha Sarva Vikara Vishaya Sukhadayaha Vyomadi Bhutanyakilam Cha Vishwam Avyakta Paryantam Idam Yanatma. Idam Anatma. Idam hi Anatma. This is in Anatma. What is that? Everything that we have discussed. Deha, Indriya, Prana, Manaha, Ahankaraha, Adayaha. And Sarva Vikara, all modifications. So from the point of individual modifications, and in the point of the collective, the macro, the creation, all Vyoma, the Bhuta, Nakilam, Cha Vishwam. So the analysis of four from the individual point, from the collective point, macro point, and the micro point, all are considered as Anatma, starting from Maya all the way down. So everything that is Avyaktam means that the Maya or Avidya, Paryantam, Idam, everything that I can point out, this, anything that can be pointed out, which is Purnam Idam, you think infinite things are this, all that comes under Anatma. And in essence, there are 5 aspects that one can think, summarize the whole aspect of Anatma. And one, the qualities of Anatma, one is Drusyatvam, Bhautikatvam, second, and Sagunatvam, Savikaratvam, Agamapayitvam. And what is Drusyatvam? Anything that I see is Anatma. Do you see Krishna? Yeah, yesterday I saw Krishna. It is Anatma. So anything that is objectified cannot be Atma. Atma means the self, and anything is non-self. Anything that is objectified is non-self. It can be a concept or it can be a tangible object. So Drishyatvad, I can see. That means I know. So whatever I know is Anatma. That is true. We'll talk about Vedanta a little bit. And Bhautikatvam. Bhautikam means it is made up of either subtle elements or gross elements. And that is what is Anatma. Sagunatvam. Since it is a product of the creation coming from a Maya, therefore all things, products having attributes, so all the properties belong to the object. In fact, we define an object how? Based on the properties. So the precise definition means the object can be identified from the rest of the objects in the universe. That should be the precise definition. So every object, every scientist tries to define it, that means he is objectifying it. One is objectify things only, they can be defined. And definition is always in terms of attributes of the object. Only objects will have attributes, and all that is sagunatvam. And savikaratvam. And any object undergoes modification. There is a beginning for it in the form, and there is an end for it. And that's what is vikaratvam, continuously modifying. The whole world is changing, and everybody complains, in my olden days everything was good, look at the new generation. So every generation, even Socrates' time also, he was criticizing the next generation, how the people are. So this complaint will go on because it is the nature of the world. So savikaratvam, agama payitvam, that keeps coming and going. That's what Krishna says, tam tichishasva bharata. So, says matra sparshestu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama paino nityaha tam tichishasva. Everything comes. Therefore, don't keep complaining. We complain when it is a cold, we complain when it is a hot, when it is complain when it is rain, when it complain it doesn't rain. All this, let accept whatever that comes. If you can change the situation for the better, you can, but there are things beyond your control, and that is part of the Ishvara Srishti. Bow down to his, and with that attitude the mind becomes calm, and that becomes a Paramatma Nishtha. So the whole Anatma has been discussed. Anatma starts with all the way from Maya, Avyaktam to Vyaktam, expression in terms of varieties, and the knowledge is to recognize whatever I see is Parameshvara Srishti, that becomes a Vibhuti of the Lord. That recognition helps my mind purify. My likes and dislikes get neutralized in the process. That's what is called Paramatma Nishtha. Paramatma Nishtha is seeing Lord everywhere and acting in that understanding, and that becomes, my mind gets purified. All this becomes Anatma. Next, Acharya talks about what is Atma. So, in the 7 questions, the last 3 questions is, what is Anatma, what is Atma, and what's the difference between the two. So we have so far discussed this topic, what is Anatma. Then we'll take about, from the next talk on, what is Atma. With this, we'll stop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Sishyati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.